Hi, I am Camille on William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. So this week we are working on month 9 of our annual quilt along. Before we start, you'll want to check out the link below the video. This is going to have all of the cutting instructions for the white fabric that's going to give you cut through all of your colors, so don't forget to check out the blog link for the white fabric cutting instructions. And also while you're there, you can check out our shop and see all the fun modern quilting projects that we have available for you as well. So this month we are doing a little bit of a simpler block, kind of take a little bit of a breather from some of the more complex ones that we've been working on. And we're putting together this fun quilt block. So a couple of tips that we just kind of want to go over for all the blocks that you're going to be working on. When you're cutting them out, we really do recommend you starch. We kind of talked about that briefly, starching them. If you starch your pieces, especially because we're dealing with a lot of bias edges and a lot of small blocks, it's going to help everything to kind of lay a little bit flatter, a little bit nicer. So we recommend starching, but always starch before you cut your pieces out, because starching can actually shrink your fabric. So make sure that you cut it out, you starch it, and then cut out all your different pieces that you need for the blocks. The second tip is we do want to make sure you've got a true 1/4 inch seam. Check your 1/4 inch seam on your machine. If it's too big, your blocks are going to end up a little bit small. So check that your 1/4 inch is a true 1/4 inch. We do have a video kind of going over that we'll link so you can see that as well. And then we're going to recommend you use a scant for these blocks because they are small. Some of them have a lot of pieces. You can get you can lose some size there if you do a full. So we're going to recommend a scant 1/4 inch. And then as you are trimming things up, as you're cutting off dog ears, as you're trimming off, things that are sticking out, make sure that you're only trimming what's sticking out, that you aren't cutting into the block and making the block smaller. If you do, by the time you get to the end, you're going to find that you're, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch too small, and you're kind of now having to kind of struggle to stretch to make it work. So make sure that you're not cutting extra into the block. And then when you're pressing, also press, don't iron. We don't want to be stretching and distorting the fabric. So make sure that you're pressing it to keep everything as flat as possible. Now we are ready to start cutting the fabric. So grab your month 9 block, and we're going to start by cutting 2 strips off of it at 3 1/4 inches wide. And don't forget, you're going to want to go to the blog post to find the instructions for the white fabric. It's going to be the same size blocks, just different amounts. So I'm just going to cut 2 strips, and then I will go ahead and cut those down into 3 1/4 inch squares. You can cut these, stack these up and cut them at the same time if you want, or you can go ahead and cut them separately to get those squares completed. After we have those 2 squares, we're going to need 1 2 1/2 inch square. So again, just cut a 2 1/2 inch strip off of the leftover fabric, and then turn it and cut it down into our 2 1/2 inch square. And then you can set your extra pieces aside. We won't need those. Now grab your white squares, and we're going to need the 3 1/4 inch squares right now. So you're going to have a bunch of 2 1/2 inch squares as well, but we don't need them yet. So just set them aside, and you can also add your orange one to it. And then grab all of your 3 1/4 inch squares. So you're going to put one of your white squares on top of one of your orange squares. Match all of those up, and then grab your ruler and your marking pencil. This could be a heat erase or something. We're using heat erase here. It can also just be a pencil. And you're just going to draw a line from corner to corner. We're going to be making some half square triangles out of these blocks. After you've drawn a line, just go ahead and sew a 1/4 of an inch on both sides, and then you're going to cut directly on the line so that you have 2 from each set. Now that they're sewn, I've pressed them, and we're going to trim them down to 2 1/2 inches each. So I'm going to use the 45-degree line on my ruler and put that right across your seam. Then line up 2 of the edges on the 2 1/2 inch marks, and that's going to keep everything square and keep the points in your corners. Then just trim that down. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and flip it and just trim off the extra dog ear on the other side. And then repeat with all of your half square triangles. Now we're ready to lay the block out. So we're going to be putting the half square triangles are going to go in the 4 corners. This is just going to be a basic 9-patch block. Then our colored square is going to go in the center and fill in the remaining 4 spots with the white squares. After you've laid it out, just sew the top 3 together, and then the middle 3 and the bottom 3. And I'm going to go ahead and iron the seams towards the inside block in the middle, towards the outside block in the middle and towards the inside block on the top and bottom row so that you can nest those together. Our quilt block is done and ready to go. So this is a great one. Grab the rest of your colors, get these whipped up really quick and be ready to go for the next month. Also, because this is an easier block, this is a great month to go back. And if you have any catching up, maybe you haven't completed all of the previous ones, gives you a little bit of extra time to kind of catch up to those, since how we don't really have any breaks. We do have a new block every month. So take advantage of that and take advantage of the little bit easier block. If you do have any questions, definitely reach out. We are here to help and we want you to be successful. So we are here to answer any questions you have and are happy to do so. Also, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook as well if you want to see other projects that we're working on and the other things that we have going. And don't forget that all of the instructions, the cutting instructions or the diagrams and things for this block are in the blog post. So the description is, the link is in our description below the video. So don't forget to check that out. And you can also visit our shop to see all of our fun projects and modern quilting patterns that we have available for you. So again, let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, see you next time.